Are you ready to be provoked in your mind, inspired in your spirit, and stimulated to be a better you? Then get ready. TnT Talk, television's inspirational talk, starts now.
Welcome to TnT Talk on this day. This is Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith with my lovely co-host, Lady Savannah Smith, and we are delighted to be with you on another show and want you to know that this show is sponsored by the Doyen Network. It is a fingerprint of excellence. You can visit us at www.doyen.network. Sweetheart, here we are again for another show. And as always, it's good to be here with you.
Yes, it is. We are back at it again.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying our time and enjoying the show. The show gives us an opportunity to touch people, share the gospel. It gives us an opportunity to share things that are going on in the news that maybe a lot of the other world don't get a chance to see, that we get a chance to see and share it, and then also being able to share the word of the Lord. So it's a wonderful 1 hour of time that we get a chance to share with the people.
Yes, every opportunity that we're afforded to spread the good news, it's a wonderful opportunity, and we must take full advantage of it.
Indeed, it is. And then also, we can't rule out or take out the ultimate elimination, our time of just funning and talking about what if certain things had not ever existed. We get a chance to talk about that. And so we're going to review that. We're going to review some of the things, the results from last week. We're going to bring out some new ones, which I think this week is going to be very interesting. And then we're also going to talk about in the news something that was so tragic that we talked a little bit about, that we're going to talk about with our audience. And then we're going to share the word of the Lord. So let's get right into it. Let's go right to TnT Talk News. Again, it's sponsored by the Smith Firm and Agency. It's a standard of excellence. You can visit us at www.smithfirm.agency. Sweetheart, there is no tragedy like the tragedy of suicide, but this particular story has a little bit more to it, just a little bit more to it, and I want to go right into this video clip we're going to share from the New York Post because this is where this actually happened. And I just want you all to see this and read it. And then we're going to talk about this. This precious gift, Shiante means. Um, Unfortunately, she ended her life. And not only did she end her life, but she ended the lives of her 9 year old and she ended the life of her 5 year old. Let's take a look at this. Such a hard situation, sweetheart.
Yes, it is. Mm, It's very heart wrenching. You never know the state that someone is in, and oftentimes individuals are telling us in many ways that they're suffering from depression, and oftentimes it's ignored or not taken seriously. So it is very important that we are in tuned to those that we are around our loved ones so that they may not necessarily vocalize it and say, "Hey, I'm depressed. I'm going through this. I'm going through that." But you have to be sensitive enough to know and to know the signs and to recognize when someone needs help, but they're not able to vocalize it. They're asking you for help, but they're not, may not know how to express it. So we have to be sensitive to that.
The hardest thing about depression or just mental health when there is a deficiency is the inability for individuals around you to read it.
Yes.
We don't, no one, especially in today's society, no one's really just going to step forward and just say, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
No one's going to step forward and just say, I'm weak.
Yeah.
No one's going to step forward and just say, I need help. Because unfortunately, society and the humanistic behavior has unfortunately taught us to do the opposite.
Yes.
Um, we struggle to say, I love you to one another. We struggle to say, I need help.
Yes.
We struggle.
Yes, we do. And unfortunately, you're labeled as weak when one would even think of offering up those statements that
Yeah.
you just said.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. And I think it's just the opposite to me. That's very brave whenever you're able to express that to others.
It's, you know, the more I look at this particular situation, and I remember it happened several days ago, and I remember when I first saw it, it took me a while just to get myself together because it hit me so hard. Um, we're blessed to have three young men that we have parented together, and then now having a granddaughter. And the gift of life is such a beautiful thing.
It really is.
And sometimes you don't know it until it's gone. I was looking at the story, and the original storyline was, as you read it, was that she was feeling some kind of way because of her child's father, who apparently the relationship didn't go the way that she thought it was going to go. And she had shared some things about him, and it seemed like they had just been going back and forth. But inevitably, she wanted him. It didn't go the way that she wanted it to go. And so she had ended her life. I have since had an opportunity to look more into that story to see what really did happen. And one family member, a cousin, said that it was not necessarily about him, but that she unfortunately was dealing with postpartum depression. Which, for those of you that don't know what that is, and I'll let a woman talk about it, since it really has more to do with
Yes.
women. Sweetheart, share with our viewers what is postpartum depression and why physicians will talk to pregnant mothers as they're going into the pregnancy while they talk to them about it.
Yes, and a short description. Postpartum depression is a state that a woman goes into after she gives birth. It could last for weeks, it could last for months. Um, with women, the hormones are constantly changing. So after a woman gives birth, your hormones are not exactly in the state that it would be prior to you becoming pregnant. So a woman may experience depression. You may see her crying a lot. It's just a range of emotions that they may feel. Some women go through it and some women do not. And you're not able to tell if you're going to be one of those women, in fact, that suffer from postpartum depression once
Wow.
you give birth. And it's imperative, as I was saying before, that those that are around, if you really know someone and after they've given birth and you start noticing temperament changes, them not being their normal selves, that is a sign that they may be going through postpartum depression. They may not. see it as that way. You often have times when mothers may not like their babies. They may resent having the babies. It's just different things that can go on with a woman's body after she gives birth, and the with the hormonal changes that goes on. So it's very real. It is very real. Fortunately, I've never experienced that at all, but I do know of some women that have, and it can be a very tough place, a tough season. But with the right individuals around, you're able to definitely pull through it. Some women have to go on medication. Some women have to go through therapy. It all depends on the level that you are in that state, But asking for help is definitely a good thing. And for the inner circles that are around, just be mindful and be sensitive, and don't ignore the signs. If you know that someone is not acting, the way that they normally do, their temperament changes, they're angry, they're sad, they're crying, they're just all emotional. Those are all normal things that happen to women, of course, after giving birth. But anything beyond that you see happening longer than it should, for a longer period of time, it's definitely something to keep an eye out on.
I think it's harder to deal with it after COVID because COVID changed the dynamic of how we're interacting with one another.
Hmm.
I think we were already at a point where we were becoming more isolated and more self uh, into ourselves, into our
Hmm.
own space. And I know that there are times when there's a time when you need to just kind of be by yourself because you just feel like you don't want to be around people. And that's not considered to be bad.
It's not.
But what is bad is when there is an excessiveness
Yes.
of you wanting to be alone. That's a problem.
Yes. And that that excessiveness, it depends on, of course, the individual, really. I mean, some people need longer than others, need more time than others, but it's just a matter of kind of knowing yourself, and I guess knowing the individuals that are around you, really.
I think it's really there's so much to this, and I'm grateful for social workers, psychologists,
Yes.
um, and medical health practitioners that I know that I've had conversations and we've talked about these kinds of things. And what is hard about it is that it's a fine line because there are some who have very melancholy spirit,
Hmm.
who in temperament, who may not just want to be around people,
Yeah.
very introverted and are very satisfied with them.
Yeah.
But when a woman gives birth, there's a lot of things you have to pay attention to, which is why encourage the child's mother, the newborn's mother, to really go to the doctor and make sure she's going to her doctor visits. They want to check not only the baby's health,
Yes.
but they also want to check the
The
mother's
mothers
health,
as well.
and they want
Yes.
to check your physical health, and they want to check your mental health
Yes.
because there is so much that's going on in that situation. And in this one, um, it just seems as if there were some red flags there, especially the up and down of her temperament when it comes to the child's father. Um, there was a lot that was there. And unfortunately, whatever it was that was going on, the times that we're in now almost force us. You're almost trying to figure out, how do I get involved? How do I interject myself
Mhm.
with someone who may be dealing with an adverse situation? How do I do that? Because there are times when if you try, you almost are um, kind of infringing upon someone's private space.
Yes.
So, there's so many different variances of thought that
Mhm.
comes along with this. But one thing is for sure, I think because we really have become so self driven and so concerned about ourselves, we've kind of lost touch with one another.
We have, and I think that when going back to what you said, how do you kind of, even approach someone like that? And it can come off as if you're kind of being what?
Nosy,
Nosy in a
pushy.
sense. But I honestly believe that even if it's rejected in the beginning, if you offer it up in sincerity,
Hmm.
hey, I know you just gave
Hmm.
birth, I know it can be difficult. You may be a first time mom, you may not be a first time mom. I'm here if you need anything, if you want to talk. I've noticed this, I noticed that about you. That's not your normal, way of
Yeah.
behaving. So just
Yeah.
you may not feel like talking about it right now, but just know that you have a safe space with me and feel free to reach out if you want to talk. I think something as simple and as sincere as that, because if it was me being a woman, and even at the moment when that suggestion was offered to me, even if I did not feel like it and I didn't want to hear it and I was not there, at some point, if it was genuine and I felt it was genuine, I put that away until I maybe get to the point where I am able to open up and say, okay, that did seem genuine. So maybe I can reach out and talk to her. But when it's not genuine, it's obviously it's felt, no one is going to reach out like that, So it may not be received in the beginning, but just don't take that as is, as if, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything because it's not being received. No, because everybody responds differently. You put it out there and you plant the seed, and I say you let the word do the rest.
Mhm.
Plant that seed with sincerity, and when the time comes, just trust and believe that the individual will take you up on that and come back and talk to you about it.
Well, I think just mental health is something that we definitely have to talk about. We're going to talk about it more in our shows to come. I'm certainly going to bring on some of my colleagues who are professionals that can offer a more broader scope
Yes.
in that. But if you are experiencing some mental health, please by all means reach out to someone. Let's take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back. This is TNT Talk with your host Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith and my wife, Lady Savannah. We'll be right back.
In this age of technology, graphics are everywhere. PGEE Graphic Design offers flag banners as a great way to display your church, business, or organization. These banners can go up to 12 feet high, 3 feet wide. You can get a feather or teardrop custom banner today. Need a custom logo, seal, or crest for your business, church, or title? Let PGEE Graphic Design help you. Make sure your brand fits your vision. Within 5 days or less, we can give you the image you're looking for. PGEE, designing with you in mind. Nothing makes an event look good like a retractable, backdrop, or X-frame banner, and PGEE Graphic Design can design your banner and enhance your event. We have many different sizes to choose from and a 7 to 10 day turnaround to get the banner to you. Need a poster design for a special event or funeral? We take our time and design with you in mind to ensure the look you want in the time frame that you need. No matter what your graphic needs are, our team of graphic designers can handle it. Websites, book covers, flyers, letterhead, yard signs, invitations, funeral obituaries, embroidery, car magnets, and so much more. PGEE stands ready to assist you with one or several of your graphic needs. Give us a call 410-793-7238 or via email pgee.graphic@gmail.com. PGEE Graphic Design. We design with you in mind.
And we're back with TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith, and my wife, Lady Savannah. And it's time for ultimate elimination. And we have definitely been enjoying it over the last few weeks, we've got a chance to talk and share about different things that, and the thought of what would have happened if one of these things never existed. And you all know how it works. If you've been viewing the show, it's real simple. You got to pick one. One's got to go. All of their works. You got to choose one, but you gotta choose one. And it's really a daring kind of thing because it's almost like, wow, what would have happened? What would have happened if one of these things went away? And so over these last couple of weeks, we've done quite a few. Last week was really interesting. And so let's review from last week and talk about the three that we had last week, which again were just very unique. I want to start off with the cartoon of all cartoons. What if you had to choose between the Flintstones and the Jetsons? And the consensus was that the Jetsons would actually be gone. The Flintstones would actually hang around. It was close, but the Flintstones uh, nudged it out. And then the second one, even my producer just kind of felt like this didn't, you know, he just thought something different. Sweetheart, Captain Crunch and Apple Jacks. I don't know why I'm talking to you because
Right.
you really didn't even have a skin in this at all.
None.
Um, but Captain Crunch in a landslide. Um, and then the other one was even that much more unique because it was for movie buffs. It was for people who really like movies. The Matrix and the Terminator. And the people have spoken, and the Terminator had to go. Matrix was definitely the better of the two. Now we come into this week. What if? What if you had to
Oh
choose
my.
between KFC and Popeyes? What
Really?
say ye? What say ye?
That's an easy
Now,
one.
this one right here, when my wife ain't have no skin in the game in the cereal, oh, she's gonna have skin in the game in this one because she likes both. She likes
I
both.
like Popeyes.
Oh, and it was an easy pick.
That's easy.
Wow.
Hands down.
Oh, hands down.
Yes.
I mean, no questions asked, huh?
None.
Why? May I
Zero.
ask?
Because it reminds me of more of a southern type of chicken. It's well seasoned and it's really good.
Oh, so Kentucky Fried Chicken is more bougie, huh?
I don't know what that is now. Once you've had Popeyes, you can't go to
My. Go
only for the coleslaw.
only the slaw. Only the slaw.
That's
All
it.
right. Okay. Well, if I had to choose, now, what's interesting, I grew up on KFC.
I did too.
Before that was Popeyes. To me, what's happened? KFC represents
The Flintstones.
wow, wow, and so Popeyes would be the Jetsons, huh?
Yes.
So it's
All
like
day.
you got the old and the new. Well, I would have to agree with you. I definitely would go if there's a Popeyes and there's a KFC right next door. Chances are I'm definitely going to go into the Popeyes for sure. I definitely am. Um, and it really it does have a lot to do with taste. That whole Louisiana thing, the marketing behind it. And I will also say this because a lot of their sides are the same. A lot of sides are the same. So it really does boil down to the
These
chicken. It's really the chicken because you're going to get.
their sides are better too. I'm
I
sorry.
would I'm gonna I have to give the edge to Popeyes. Um, I think their biscuits are definitely better than KFC.
Well, everything with Popeyes is better than KFC's.
Golly, I mean, shall we not be crude? Good gracious, give them a break. Wow.
You
All
want
right.
honesty?
Well, lady has spoken. But now let's really go to the next one.
Hmm.
What if you had to choose between The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters?
That's a hard one.
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. because both shows really were a staples in television at a very good time.
They were.
Both shows were very good. Both shows were very funny, but then both shows had very sensitive shows at times and spoke to very serious matters.
They did.
Um, both shows had multiple stars
Yes, that's
because
true.
the shows were, the way that the show worked, like we know Fresh Prince is certainly, based upon, Will Smith, but, Geraldo Rivera, I mean, you can't just throw him away. You can't, he's become a star like that. The Carlton has become a thing. I mean, when he started hitting that Carlton, I mean, everybody wanted to do that.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody wanted to do the Carlton. Everybody wanted to do the Carlton. So they've become, and he's gone on,
He has.
you know, to do other shows. So that show has done extraordinarily well. And to be honest, Phil has now become a staples amongst the fathers when when we review fathers in the African American view on television.
Okay.
He's in
I
that
can agree with you
category
there.
of James Evans. You see,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because they were fathers, and they gave us good views of fathering on television as a black man.
Yes, and the thing I like about it, it was two different perspectives. You had one family that was seemingly well off, and one was your
Absolutely,
kind of like day-to-day average,
absolutely,
blue collar working family. So
yeah.
it
Because
gave different perspectives, and I like that. You could see both
one
sides.
father
Yes,
was a police officer.
yes,
One father was a lawyer.
yes. So
You
big,
see, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
totally opposite
Uh,
ends of the spectrum.
Family Matters. I mean, who didn't love Urkel?
Yeah,
And then who didn't love Stefan? That whole evolution was, I mean, it was wonderful to watch.
yeah,
And it took the show into a whole nother place,
yeah.
like watching Laura grow up and, that whole thing, it was just good to watch. So we got to pick. We got to pick. We got to pick. Um, and I mean, it's hard because you're talking about one show never having ever existed. What does that mean? What would the world be like if there was no Fresh Prince or if there was no Urkel? Where are we going?
So I would have to say Family Matters would go, although I like both of them, and I say that because specifically you mentioned the father role. So I'm everything else is good, but uh, for the sake of this comparison, I like uh, Fresh Prince because of the dynamic of the household. You had uh, a family, and then you had Will Smith, which was I think he was adopted, right?
Adopted
He
in that
adopted into
situation.
the
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
So I like that perspective
And he
of
was
the
not, well,
blended
actually, I don't
family
think he was adopted.
dynamic.
I think what happened, he was the that was a nephew. He was a
Okay, but
nephew.
he was
So
not
he
yeah.
wasn't from that family. Yes, that's
Yeah, so it
correct.
was
Yeah,
still
yeah.
somewhat of a blended family. So
Very blended.
I
Very
like
blended.
that dynamic of it. So that's the aspect that I'm speaking of, not kind of watching them grow up, but just looking at the two sides and, what views one offered as opposed to the other one. Both were great family
Definitely great
shows. Yeah.
shows. Definitely great shows. If I had to pick, I would probably pick Fresh Prince. I
To go.
again no to stay.
Okay.
I would pick them to stay. And I'm gonna offer you a curveball.
Okay.
I'm gonna offer you a curveball. Both shows had like supporting cast, like other people that were very much a part of the show that were not the stars of the show.
Sure.
Um, Eddie Winslow, you know, he was one of the stars because he's a part of Winslow family, but Eddie's friend he was like one of the supporting cast, right?
Hmm.
I can't remember his name, but I see his face so clear. He's actually in the photo when you look at the photo. Um, he's a great supporting cast. But the greater of the supporting cast, there was nobody like Jazzy Jeff. Jazzy Jeff playing that role as Will Trent was special. And it just offered that extra dynamic because he was the guy that comes from, you know, the old school. They stayed friends, and his role, even though it wasn't a main character, became somewhat of a main character.
It did.
And it just made it good. So I'm with you. Family Matters would go, Fresh Prince would stay. But
What if?
what if you had to choose between these two car manufacturers, Toyota or Nissan? One of them has got to go.
What made you choose these two?
Don't ask no questions. You can't ask me questions. You are here to choose, ma'am. I need you to choose
I choose Toyota. Toyota has to stay. Nissan has to go.
because
Toyota has, well, both have been around for a long time,
long
but when I
time.
hear about good cars, reliable cars, I hear more of Toyota than I do Nissan. And, of course, Lexus is a Toyota product as well. And that's one of my favorite
Look
cars.
at you.
But
Look at
when you
you.
think about
Look
reliability
at
and
you.
good cars, and I would say safety too, I think I would choose Toyota.
Wow. Well, I don't know if it's because we're married or you just trying to hit on me, but I again agree with you.
You're just saying that because I said it. That's all.
No, that is not why I'm saying that. I'm not saying that.
What are you saying?
I'm saying it because I am a car connoisseur.
Okay.
And I'm saying it because I have had my experience with both.
All right.
I have had a Toyota product. I've had a Nissan product. I have had a Nissan Sentra.
Everybody's had a Sentra. I have not had a Sentra, but the Sentra was the thing at one point.
But the thing, so you got the Nissan Sentra, which was Nissan's thing for all the low end, almost kind of like new car buyers just getting car. But Toyota had the Corolla. And the Corolla,
The Sentra looked better than the Corolla, though, in my opinion.
you know
Yes, it
what? You're
did.
not you're not wrong about
I
that.
know.
Because I remember when they were fixing up the Corolla and they were fixing up the
No
Sentra.
offense to anybody
The
that
the
has
Sentra,
Toyota
the Sentra fix up was definitely
or
better.
Nissan.
It was definitely better. I'd have to agree with you there. But where Toyota turned the corner was when the Cressida was made. When the Cressida came out, there was nothing like it. As a matter of fact, at the time that the Cressida came out, Nissan had the Maxima. They were back and forth. That when you would put that spoiler kit on that Cressida with them BBSs, oh, there was nothing like it. There was nothing like it. I'm telling you, that Cressida, oh, it was just the car of cars. I mean,
Look
it
at
was
that
a
thing.
sedan. It was bigger than the Maxima. Don't necessarily know about the speed of it, but I just know that the Cressida, when you tricked it out, I mean, it was something to see. It was something to see. But when you go Toyota Maxima had the Euromax. The Euromax was a car already kitted out. You could buy it already kitted out. Everything was in it. It was a bad
Yeah,
car.
the Nissan Maxima
It was
was
a
really a
bad
nice
car.
little car.
It was a bad
Yeah.
car. Nissan definitely, you had the Maxima, you had the Cressida, you had trying to think in what other style. And then so you talk about Lexus. So for those that don't know, Infinity is actually the upgrade of the Nissan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So each one took that leap to go into a different class. Toyota jumped up and went up to the Lexus, and then Nissan jumped up to go to the Infinity. So that
which is a
Maxima,
nice car.
that I'm telling you, the Maxima, that Eurosport, I'm telling you. Now, the Euro, when they came out with the Euro, I do believe that the Euro was definitely better. It was because those white rims. I mean, it was just a nice car.
Just
Uh
love cars.
oh, don't there's no lie in what you just said.
I know.
I In a couple of years, I'm going to either buy the Bentley truck or I'm going to buy me an i8. I'm definitely a car guy. I'm never going to deny that. There's no lie there. As a matter of fact, as much as I am a car lover, it would be equivalent to how a Christian loves Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm all in. I'm all in. I
What a comparison.
there's no you're not going I'm all in. I'm all in. So listen, um, I want you to know that uh, the Ultimate Elimination is sponsored by PGEE Graphic Design. You can get all of your graphic work by PGEE Graphic Design. They design with you in mind. You can email them at pgee.graphic@gmail.com, or you can give them a call at 410-793-7238. Let's take a commercial break, and we're going right into the word of the Lord when we come back. This is TNT Talk. We'll be right back.
More Americans are driving every day to work, to school, to church, or just to travel. And with all the new drivers on the road, accidents are sure to happen. Are you frustrated because your insurance keeps increasing? Are you shopping for a new car but need a good insurance rate? Then call Goosehead Insurance, the Smith Firm and Agency, the DMV's leading insurance broker. Whether it's a new car, too many tickets, a history of accidents, DUIs, or simply it's just too expensive, scan the QR code on the screen or visit us online at www.smithfirm.agency and submit an application for a quote. It only takes 2 minutes, and with AI technology and over 23 carriers to assist you, we can bind your policy and get you covered in the same day. Give our agents a call at 443-264-4398 or visit us online at www.smithfirm.agency. We're not just an agency, we're a standard of excellence.
And we're back with TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith, and my wife, Lady Savannah. It's time for the word. There is no time like the present, and there is nothing like the word of God. It is the lamp unto our feet and the light unto our pathway. I want you all to get yourself ready because I have something that I want to share with you. We're on the hinge of Halloween, and Halloween is probably one of the most debated holidays for Christians because now we're in this stage where you've got some who are opening their churches and they're actually celebrating Halloween. And then you got some that are saying it's demonic, it's not for us. And there's so many differences of opinions. But I just thought, sweetheart, I thought let's not use our opinion. Let's look somewhere in the scripture
Okay.
and let's deal with the matter. Let's go to the word. Romans chapter number 14, ladies and gentlemen. I believe Paul has something to say to the Romans who were open practicing Greek mythology. They were definitely exploring a lot of what the Grecians would do. And so there was a lot of opinion about what they felt like you could or could not do, what was right or wrong. based upon their nationality and based upon the practices of religion that was going on. I want to read this in your hearing. This is Paul talking to those Romans, but he's talking to the Romans who are wanting to be Christian.
Okay.
I want to clarify that. He's talking to the Romans
Mm-hmm.
who want to be Christian,
Okay.
talking to the legalism of those who are in Rome,
Mm-hmm.
who have been under the Roman law,
Mm-hmm.
Roman religious practice,
Uh-huh.
now embracing the Christians who are not Jews, but Gentiles,
Mm-hmm.
have never been brought up in the custom of Jews.
Okay.
They have never had to deal with a lot of the rituals of the Jews. They have never had to do anything that God had required of the Jewish descendants because they were never born into that.
Mm-hmm.
They're Gentiles.
All right.
And being Gentile afforded us the opportunity to be loved by Christ,
Huh?
won by Christ,
Yes.
brought into the kingdom without the rituals that our other brothers and sisters who felt like that they had to do still had to do. But even God gave them out. But because that's all they've known,
Mm-hmm.
Paul had to come along, who was a Sanhedrin. I'm just giving you
He
some
was.
backdrop. Y'all just come on with me for a second. Paul, who was a Sanhedrin and a governor to the Jewish people
Mm-hmm.
and their the things that they had to do, came along and he was trying to give them an understanding so that we would stop being judgmental towards people.
Okay.
So we would stop being so harsh towards people. So we would not be so critical of other people. Let's go to the word. Romans chapter number 14 says this: accept other believers who are weak in the faith. Why would he start off by saying that? I'm so glad you asked. Because you're trying to use the vastness of your Christian experience and or your God experience, and you are now in a legalistic way now commanding that everybody experience God
The way you
and
do.
or uh, flow in God on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is not on
Not.
the same level. Everybody don't even see God the same way.
It's true.
Everybody don't even hear God
The same way.
the same way. And certainly everybody don't walk God
The same
same
way.
way.
Absolutely.
But it's not because one is demonic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because one is less.
Or one is better.
The issue is, ladies and gentlemen, it is hard for you
Mm-hmm.
to have or appreciate the value of a Mercedes. I'm a car guy. I want to use the analytical of a car in this moment. You can't give me the expression of what it is to be in a Mercedes if you've never been in one. Why are you critical of me because I'm driving a Nissan and you're driving a Mercedes?
Mm.
You mean to tell me that my Nissan ain't gonna get me up the road? I think my Nissan's gonna get me there.
Yeah.
My money says a Nissan is all I can afford.
Uh-huh.
You got a Mercedes, your money is different.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, all I'm trying to say is the advancement of one's knowledge of God allows him to see and experience him more.
If-
Those that
Yes.
are weak in the faith, Paul said, listen to me carefully. Please don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't be critical of those who are weak in the faith.
Yeah.
Don't do that because just because other believers who are weak doesn't make you better than them.
And also remember, everyone was at that point someplace in time.
Everybody came
Every
from a
one of
weak
us.
place.
Yes.
Everybody. Let's continue in my thought. I just wanted to put that out there because he started off that way. And he said, accept other believers who are weak in the faith and don't argue with them about what they think is right or wrong. For instance, one person believes it's all right to eat anything, but another believer with a sensitive conscience will only eat vegetables. Those who freely eat anything must not look down on
Hmm.
those who don't. And those who don't eat certain foods must not condemn those who do. For God has accepted them.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
let me just break that down. If I was a DJ, I'd break it on
Break it
down.
down,
Let
Bishop.
me let me say this to you. Uh don't go down and be critical, and don't come up and be
How
critical.
about that?
I think everybody need to stay in your corner and mind your business.
All right.
Because here's the problem. Most times the only reason why people are being critical about certain things is because that in that one little area,
Hmm.
that one little space,
Yeah.
you have found a little grace.
Yeah.
You found a little liberty. You found a little better God in that space.
Hmm.
So now, in the place that you found space, you use that as an occasion to throw pie in somebody's face. I ain't trying to
Mm-mm.
rap. I'm just trying to show you how we flow.
That's how we flow.
We flow in the areas where we strong, and we deviate from the areas where we weak.
Hmm.
So we try to make ourselves look better than other folk. But let me say this to you. The same Paul said in the book of Galatians, we ain't got to go there, Mr. Producer. I'm just flexing my muscle here. He said, brethren, if any man, not just any particular man, but if any man
Hmm.
be overtaken in a fault, if
Hmm.
you are spiritual, I'm just
Yes.
using my context in the
Go ahead.
scripture. If any one of y'all think that y'all are so strong, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering
Yourself.
yourself,
Hmm.
lest you also be
Be
tempted.
tempted. Yes.
Because if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing,
Hmm.
you are fooling
Yourself.
yourself. I think what we have done is that we have become boisterous about the stuff that we are good at, but we don't want to talk about the stuff that we're weak at. We don't want to talk about how you may be weak when it comes to women, but you want to be critical because somebody then got pork chop on their plate. I think it's foolish because in all of it, if we're weak, then we're weak. I
Hmm.
think it's in our best interest to try to find strength for
Yes.
when we're weak.
That's right.
I don't think we should try to use that as an occasion to just try to push somebody down.
That's true.
I think we should learn how to be better when it comes to one another.
Hmm.
I think we need to reach for those who may be downtrodden or may be low in a particular area.
Yeah.
Show them the vastness of God's grace. Show them the benefit that God has given us by making all things good according to Genesis chapter number
Uh
1.
huh.
I think that's the better of our relationship with God.
Yes, because Bishop, I'm glad you said that because even with that, when we've reached a certain level, there's still areas in our life that God is extending grace to us that we may struggle with that others do not know about. So don't forget about that. Don't be quick to criticize someone about something, and you're still being given grace every day for things that you're dealing with that no one else knows. So just consider that whenever you open your mouth to put it on someone else because they're not doing something the way that you think they should be doing it or they don't believe the way that you believe. Just don't forget about, I'm going to call them skeletons at this moment. It may or may not be, but at any rate, it's grace
Indeed,
that God is
indeed.
giving you every day to deal with that stuff that you choose to criticize others about and be silent about those things that he's dealing with you on. So be very careful with that.
And so I bring this up because Halloween is such a debated holiday. So for years, you've had people that say the church ought not be dealing with it, the church ought not be talking about it, the church ought not be participating in it. And then one of my colleagues had said something that kind of caught my attention. He said, "I don't know of any church that's practicing Halloween according to what Halloween really is." He said, I don't think there's no church out there sacrificing babies. I don't think there's no church out there doing blood sacrifices and rituals unto idols and all of these other paganistic things that go along
Yeah.
with what we know about Halloween. And those of us that's done some reading, for those of us that do read,
Yeah.
for those of us that's done the reading, that we know what Halloween is. But what, in fact, if we're only doing Halloween because we really just want to give our kids a safe place?
Hmm.
We just want to give them something that they can enjoy. What if I'm strong enough to know what Halloween is and what Halloween isn't? What if I choose to use Halloween as nothing more than an opportunity to win somebody that's weak?
That's
See,
good.
this is where I am with all of it because I came up in a Pentecostal apostolic holiness type of movement. We basically condemned everything. I mean, we just put our foot on the neck of anything that didn't
Yes.
look like it was holy.
Yeah.
If a woman's dress was too short, she was unholy. If the hair was too long, she was unholy. If you drove a certain car, you was unholy. If you went to certain places, you was unholy. If you listened to certain music, you was unholy. If you wore mascara, you was unholy. I mean, at some point, question really wasn't whether or not you was unholy. To some point, it was like, well, what am I holy in? Because
Nothing
at
at
some
that
point,
point.
I mean, you just didn't have much.
Yeah. And then too, Bishop, if you're gonna say that, if you want to condemn or put away Halloween, how many other holidays are we celebrating that we should put in that same category that
All
we
of
should
them.
not celebrate?
Because every holiday that we are experiencing, ladies and gentlemen, according to the scripture, would be considered pagan.
Paganistic, yes.
They're all pagan. So that means, Lord, help the
Christmas,
church if we say there would be no Christmas. Do you
no Christmas
understand?
trees.
Do you understand what that would do?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy, Jesus. Do you understand for those now watch? Because the way that we've now played this and we gotten older, Christmas was for the kids, New Year's is for the adults. So can you imagine if we just shut it all down? And oh, by the way, while all of y'all are trying to debate on whether or not we should or should not, here's one holiday you would not want to not celebrate, and it's probably more closer to all of us. Your birthday. Because if we're born again, the original date of birth is now trumped by your new birth. Oh, Bishop.
Wow.
See, if you're still trying to hold on to that one while you're celebrating your new one, it would be as if you are celebrating both and giving honor to both. But what if God, in the sovereignty of his mind and the deity of his person, what if God ain't neither here nor there on either
One
one?
of them.
Because what if the real measure of it all is if you say, but God, I just need you to know that whatever I'm doing it as unto
To
the
you.
Lord.
Yes.
What if my heart is, I just want to please God,
Hmm.
but he's given me the joy of life. He's allowed me to see and experience certain
Hmm.
things. I mean, if we're going to be dogmatic, then there's certain things we ought not be doing because the Sabbath is supposed to be holy and we ought not to be doing nothing. See, this is where the line gets blurred. This is where we get a little carnal, and here's where we miss it. Let's go back to the scripture because I need them to really see this. Because I don't want them to think that I'm making it up. I want them to see this in the word. Because if you go down a little bit further, in verse 4 saying, who are you to condemn someone else's servants? Let me break that down. Who are you to condemn God's people? Their own master, God, will judge them whether they stand or fall. And with the Lord's help, God help me right there. With the Lord's help,
Hmm.
not your help, not your opinion,
The
but
Lord's
with the
help.
Lord's help, they will stand and receive his approval.
Hmm.
In the same way, some think one day, look out, look out. Some think one day is more holy than another day. while others think every day is alike.
Mm-hmm.
You should each be fully convinced that whichever day you choose is acceptable. Those who worship the Lord on a special day, do it, but do it to honor Him.
Mm-hmm.
Those who eat any kind of food, do so to honor the Lord. Sweetheart, isn't that the reason why we pray over the food?
Yes, it is.
See, this is why we miss. This is why we miss. We miss because we become so dogmatic about everything.
Mhm.
And we get to a certain point and we don't want to grow. We don't want to learn. We don't want to open up our eyes. We just think that everything that we do is right. We think that there's no wrong in what we do. And then when we're wrong, we want grace for our wrong.
Yeah, we do.
At some point, we just got to stop. And all I'm saying, as we're drawing to the close of our show today, all I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there's a whole lot that we could be critical of. Could go backwards and forwards in the scripture, and I could show you all the things that we could either do
Mm-hmm.
or not do.
Yeah.
I could show you where Peter, in a dream, was in the dream, and God was sending animals to him, and in the dream, told Peter to eat the animals. But those animals that God was sending him in the dream
Mm-hmm.
were animals that we shouldn't be eating. Peter said, "Can't eat that. That's unholy." God literally said to him, "How are you going to
Tell
tell
me.
me
Mm-hmm.
that that's unholy if I'm sending it to you?" And that's my point. If he gave it to us, ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy it. Listen, I pray that this message has blessed you, and I pray that our show blesses you. Tune in for next week's show. We will continue with TNT Talk News, and especially we cannot forget about the ultimate elimination and certainly the word of the Lord. This has been TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith, and my wife, Lady Savannah. We will see you next week. Take care.